Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet. We were focusing on those letters right now. There's our Gimel. There's our Dalet. We're doing great. Oh. There's my son now. This picture is a little dated, but my son that you see in this picture here is now 18 years old, and he's in the pre-army program of the IDF in northern Israel. This is when he was much younger. He's looking over a scroll of Esther that I wrote. Very, very powerful idea, the scroll of Esther. It's an amazing idea because we just finished the holiday of Purim, and it's an amazing idea because what's going on is that you have a word of God that is missing what? God. The name of God. Isn't that amazing? So it's really, really powerful idea. And we really, it only goes to show that sometimes if you really want to see the hand of God, it's not going to be so obvious. Okay? It's not going to be so obvious. It's coming out of the holiday of Purim. Let's take a look for a moment, ladies and gentlemen, at one last example. How am I left here? If you take a look at the letter, the most middle letter of the Hebrew alphabet, if you were kind of like, well, it's 22 letters, it's a little tricky. So it's going to be halfway in between. It's going to be the letter Lamed, which is going to be on the second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters from the right.
How come they have this C above us? What is all that?
Oh, that's just sometimes I refer to them by the English letters, so that just makes it a little easier. Okay. Right? Can everyone see that this letter corresponds to that letter I just asked you to look at?
Yes.
Lamed. Lamed. If you were to take the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and line them up kind of like all in one line, so what you would see is the letter Lamed is smack in the middle, and it's the tallest letter. If you look on your chart, none of the other letters kind of like stretch high like that. It's almost like having a flag. It's almost like saying, hey, notice me. It's like saying, hey, I'm in the middle of the Hebrew alphabet, and I'm the tallest letter, and I'm the only letter that has my hand kind of waving around. Kind of like it gets your attention, you know what I mean? The letter Lamed is from the word limud, which means education. It means to learn, it means to teach, right? If I want to, in Hebrew, if I want to say that I'm actually providing that service, you add the letter mem in front of the letter, so it becomes melamed, which means to be a teacher, melamed. If I want to be a student, then I'm a talmid. The concept of education is limud. You hear that there's a similar sound with all these letters, but they're all emanating from this. And so the rabbis come along and they say, okay, that's very interesting. Now we have to really protect this letter because the concept of education is so important. So we get an example of what the rabbis teach us in these deep ideas of the letter Kuf. And the letter Kuf is really interesting because while the Lamed kind of had this arm going up, waving around, the letter Kuf has this arm or leg, or whatever you want to call it, kind of dripping down. And it can be found on the last line of your sheet, first letter. You see it? Kind of interesting. It's kind of dangling around there. It's interesting. I'm going to write out the name of the letter for you. Kuf. And remember, this is Lamed. Lamed means education, and Kuf comes from the Hebrew word kof, which means monkey. Yeah, it means a monkey. Now that's kind of interesting, because the rabbis come along and they say, of all the letters in the Hebrew alphabet, be very, very careful about mixing these two letters. Be very careful. Now, how do you think I could possibly wind up mixing these two letters? Anybody want to take a guess? Let's see how easy it would be to transform one of these letters into the other. You want to come out with a marker and use the red one. Show me how these letters could become.
Put this up here.
Go ahead, do it. And then show me how that can become here.
Take that off.
Yeah.
Maybe just put that there.
Perfect.
Put that there.
Excellent. What's your name?
Carter.
Carla. Everyone see what Carla did?
Yes.
Okay. That's exactly what the rabbis were warning us the problem. What's the problem here? The problem is the following. Have you heard the expression to monkey something? What does that mean? You ever go to the zoo? This happened to me at the zoo. You go to the zoo and you see the monkey area, okay, whether they're in a cage or whether they're more progressive zoos and they're more like in a free area and everything. And you start like, you do this. The next thing you know, you see the monkeys and they're doing this. And you scratch your head a little bit. Next thing you know, they're watching you. What does it mean to monkey somebody? Huh? Mimic or copy, right? Mimic or copy.
But not.
What do you think, what were the rabbis trying to teach us about why monkeying, or what the nature of a monkey, why that must be so separate? We must keep that so separate from the concept of limud, education. Why would the rabbis be so adamant about this? Any ideas?
You have to teach exactly the right thing and not add your own thought or issue.
Well,
interpretation.
when does that happen?
When you start imitating people
Right.
you're not supposed to imitate, like outside teachers or philosophers
Or anybody?
or anybody.
So in other words, what Carla was saying is that you want to be careful not to be in a situation where you're just copying or imitating somebody. In other words, the ideal for education is really to come to ideas on your own. The idea for real quality education is to take ideas from previous teachers, from our sages, and to say, okay, what does this mean to me? Well, how do I build on this? What is my personal stamp going to be on this creative process? Because the alternative is to do everything in just, right, copy, just like being in a factory, one thing copying the next. And it's so interesting that of all the letters in the Hebrew alphabet, that the rabbis were warning us for these two ideas, that these two letters, we have to be very, very careful of them. The fact of the matter is that this is my Grateful Dead hat on. That we have to be very, very careful. We have to be very, very careful when we look at the Hebrew letters. We have to understand that these Hebrew letters are ultimately going to be writing a Torah scroll like this. We have to make sure that at the same time we're also understanding that these letters mean something, that they're messages, and that not only are we looking at the Torah scroll, and here we have, let me get a better picture of that one here. There's a great one. This is a Torah scroll that my friend and I are restoring in Hungary. As you can see, there's a lot of red, that's mold, and that we had to clean that up. We do a lot of restoration of Torah scrolls that were saved, or that were rescued from the Holocaust. This is an example of one. And one of the things that we find is that each and every letter tells its own story. What's so interesting is that you look on your sheet itself. The letters themselves are written in what color ink? They're written on black ink. And what color is the parchment that it's written on? White. So we have an idea that the Hebrew letters are really black fire on white fire. Black fire and white fire. And we have an understanding that even that white space that's in between the letters has as much importance as the black letters themselves. So I just want to give you a chance this evening just to whet your appetite a little bit about what the Hebrew letters are about, a deeper understanding